So welcome back to the library here at Newstead Abbey, everybody. And today I've got a really interesting two objects that's actually one. It's a jacket and a waistcoat, and they both belong to one of the two Albanian costumes that Byron bought while he was travelling from 1809 to 1811. Now, Byron's grand tour wasn't quite the traditional grand tour that young men would have taken in the period. Because of the war with France, that usual route through France and Italy was dangerous and somewhat foolhardy. And so he went to some different sites and different places, including to places like Albania that he said few Britons had travelled to before. He didn't completely avoid the war, though. He travelled first through Portugal and on into Spain before going to Malta, Greece, Albania and Turkey. He was enamoured of Albanian costumes as soon as he saw it. In a letter to his mother talking about his visit to the ruler Ali Pasha, he describes Albanian dress as the most magnificent in the world, and the people themselves as brave, rigidly honest and faithful, if sometimes cruel. And he goes on to add that they are probably the most beautiful in point of countenance in the world. So no wonder that he wanted his own Albanian outfits, associated as they were in his mind with martial prowess, beauty and magnificence. He goes on in that letter to say that he had bought two outfits and he'd paid 50 guineas for them, although he notes that if he'd bought them in England, because of the gold detailing, they'd have cost at least 200. So he viewed it as something of a bargain. He didn't wear these costumes or outfits much when he came back to Britain, but he did choose to be painted in one of his Albanian costumes for one of the most famous of Byron's portraits, Thomas Phillips' 1813 painting of him in Albanian costume. Now, at this point, Byron had already risen to meteoric fame thanks to the success of Childe Harold, and he was acutely aware of his image and curated it. He was particularly anxious about what images were created and which were used to illustrate his works. His choice to be painted in Albanian costume tied him in with what he called Eastern or Turkish settings of some of his very early popular poetry. And we also see with these costumes that he's developing an air of drama and mystery and romance in the eyes of his contemporaries. Now, he didn't keep these costumes. Instead, in 1814, he gave an Albanian costume to a Miss Mercer Elphingston as a costume to be used, so he suggested, somewhat confusingly, as a costume for somebody playing a Dutch dragoon. He also adds in that letter, "If you like the dress, keep it. I would like to be rid of it, for it reminds me of some things that I don't like to remember." What those things are is not entirely clear. But these outfits give us a really interesting insight into the way that Byron related to the places that he travelled through, and also how he played with and curated his image. So thank you for joining me for this little bit of Byronic fashion history, and don't forget to join us again next month for another object. Goodbye.